Hello, and welcome to the Bold Leadership Story Show, where we talk about experiences shaping exceptional lives. And today I have Stephane Davis, and Stephane is a CEO and president of CS Financial. And in her role as president and CEO, she oversees all aspects of finance, client development, and IT development, including unified communications, cloud and virtualization deployment, and software and hardware security protocols. Say that 10 times fast. Stephane's no stranger to accounting. She's spent 25 years. You're actually a CPA, right?
No, actually, I have never been a CPA.
Okay. But you know a lot about accounting.
Yes, that's where my degree was in. It was in accounting and business management.
Okay, cool. So, and then you're really good at accounting and software conversion, and you've taught the value of merging and streamlining technologies for businesses to become more agile in adopting to changes or adapting to changes within their industry and culture. So,
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about that. What is that about? How do you do that? That seems like a really important thing that maybe isn't intuitive.
It's very important because a lot of times businesses that's how they either grow or die. It's by changing. And so it's
Right.
it's a
Yeah. If you don't
process.
change, you die, right? I mean,
Exactly.
there's tons of examples of that for companies that don't adapt. Like one famous one, of course, is Kodak, right?
Kodak, Blockbuster, Polaroid.
Blockbuster, right? They just forgot. They became dinosaurs and they disappeared. So what
Exactly.
you're doing is really critical then.
Right. So we work to help small and medium-sized businesses kind of with the same things that large corporations, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies have to do. You
Okay.
have to that pivot and adjust what you're doing.
Yeah.
Smaller businesses have it a lot easier because the decision tree is a lot smaller. It's usually one, maybe two people. So it's a matter of getting them on board and saying, hey, this is where you want to go. This is how we can help you get there. And this is what you need to do to get there. And making it a path that's easy for them to follow and actually visualize where they can see it, where they can see what they're doing. So that's what we help businesses with besides the accounting. The accounting is a basis because if you don't know what your numbers are in your business, if you don't understand where the money is coming from, where it's going, or how you're making it, yeah, you really can't go far anyway. So you want
Right.
to understand all of those concepts.
I remember way back when Shark Tank was first coming on, and I was in in sales role, and I was watching those, and the sharks would ask the the venture cap or the founder of the company specific questions about what's your cash flow and all these numbers that they were asking about, and
Mm-hmm.
if they knew that the sharks were really happy, and if they didn't know, the sharks were not happy. It's like, I'm not investing in you. You don't know anything about your business.
Yeah, you have no idea. If you don't know what you're trying to accomplish, it really, you don't know where you're going. You don't know how you're going to, you don't have a roadmap.
Right. So you're helping businesses to kind of figure all that out, understand what the most important things are, and
Hmm.
then helping them to kind of look at all that. And then what is it that you do to help them like put all that together, merging and streamlining technologies for businesses to become more agile and adapting to changes in their industry and culture. Culture just by itself is huge. I mean,
That's
if you don't
huge.
have a culture, you're gonna die. Your team will vaporize. They'll just go other places if there's no purpose. It's like, you know. So how do
Yeah.
you help get that done?
Actually, most businesses, whether or not they understand it or know it, have a culture
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of by default, right? You've got
by
one,
default.
whether you designed it or not. And you
So,
might not like it. You become I've talked to founders like that. They go, oh, I get to, and they actually end up building a company that they hate because the culture
mhm.
develops around them, and they don't drive
And
that, and
they
it
don't drive
becomes
it and they
a
weren't paying
beast that they
attention to
can't
it.
stand. They go to work and they go, I hate this place.
Yep. Yep. So that's kind of where we start because even if you don't like it or you weren't purposely doing it, you have one. And that is really driven by the management owners, the upper level,
Mm-hmm.
how they treat, how they handle, how they view things is how everything trickles down. If they're only about money, they're not kind, they're not, if they're only interested in themselves, you see that emulated throughout the business. Nobody cares for anybody. I've walked into businesses, it's like everybody's there and nobody pays attention to anybody. Nobody knows what anybody else is going on. They have like small little cliques of people that have kind of just joined together to kind of like survive
Mm-hmm.
the atmosphere because they got to have a job kind of
Right.
feeling.
Yeah. Right.
It's that, and that is, if you look and you see that on the day-to-day, on the everyday staff, if you look at the management, you'll see the very same thing. They care about nothing but dollars and they are not interested in their staff. You can see it in how they, what types of, do they provide just the basic stuff, not just, they're really funny about money. They don't want to pay anybody any decent wages.
Mm-hmm.
They have high turnover because of that. They
Mm-hmm.
don't offer benefits, and the benefits they offer usually are very squirrely and not very worthwhile. So it's not conducive to having a good culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, I'm here, I'll do what I got to do, but they have no loyalty and they're out the door as soon as something better comes through.
So somebody like you that walks in, you see that, right? And
Mhm.
you notice it. How do you broach that? And like,
Carefully.
like they, by the way, you, Mr. Company owner, your company kind of sucks.
Yeah, pretty much. We do it based on reporting. We let the report speak for us a lot of times because, yeah, you're trying to try to tell somebody, we just kind of back into it. Where do you want to go? Where do you see the company? Where are you trying to get it to? And based on what you know, how do you think you're going to get there today? And then would you like to know an easier way of getting there
Yeah.
so that you're not, because our biggest expense in any business pretty much is people. People are our biggest
Oh
expense,
yeah, for sure.
but they also are our most valuable capital we have in the business. You can't run your business without people. Businesses do not run without people. Even if
Mm-hmm.
it's only one person, you need somebody to run it. So how you treat that capital, how you appreciate or abuse that capital shows in that culture. And if you can't get, you have to get that aligned. And sometimes that means for some of the companies that I've gotten a chance to work with where they see what's going on, it's usually not the original. It's the ones that will be inheriting this firm and they see what's going on. So it's just a matter of trying to get the other ones out and or getting them out of everyday control so that they can do these changes. But that takes a long time. It takes on average about, I've seen it take about 2.5 years to
Mm-hmm.
kind of adjust that mentality and to get everybody on board. Because once you do that, once you can get it from the top, now you've got to convince everybody who's been there all this time
Right.
that
Oh yeah.
you're
And
serious.
there's always people that are like, no, I'm happy.
They tried that before, it didn't work.
Yeah, right. This is just another thing they're doing.
Yeah,
Oh, I was
they
at a
must have
company
got
like that
sued
when I
by
first started
somebody.
working. It was crazy. It was, I remember going into meetings. They had production meetings at this company I was working with. We were building computers
Uh-huh.
and they'd have these production meetings and I wasn't allowed in those meetings. And I actually, at first I was like, what? I should be in there. But after I learned what they do, I'd see the smoke that back then they could smoke cigarettes in the meetings
Yeah.
and the smoke would come curling out from under the door.
Oh.
It's like,
Oh.
and you'd hear them pounding on the table and yelling and screaming. And it's like, it was like the old cartoons, they're like with the sheepdog and
Yes.
the wolf, you know,
Oh
back
yes,
then.
I love that one.
Yeah. And they clock in, clock out. That it was like, oh, I hated it. It was so bad. But the culture was just just like, "Ugh."
Yes.
And
Very doggish. It's very, very me first. And that culture will not help you it'll get you so far,
mhm.
but then you'll be stuck there. You can't grow with that kind of an attitude or with that kind of a culture because nobody's willing to help anybody. And there's a lot of undercutting. So you're undermining a lot of the work that you're doing. And it's basically teaching your employees the only way you're going to get noticed or recognized or get a raise is if you undercut somebody else. And that's usually the person that's supposedly working with you. So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
not a good thing. It's really not a good thing. But helping them to understand that so that they can make the changes is also a huge thing. That's a shift that, you know, it's like, and I have to show them from the financial side how it's hurting them so that they understand if you keep doing this, this is what you're going to get. If you
Mhm.
want to do better, if you change just this little bitty thing to start with, how much better it could be for this. So it's very
that that yeah, it's
it's
I can tell.
fulfilling when people listen,
Yeah, right? Oh man.
but it can be very frustrating because it's a way if you when I look at the books because we, I was I was trained to look for not just the numbers, how to make the numbers to make the business better, but
Yeah.
what do these numbers really impact? What goes behind the numbers? Because
Amazing what you can see in those numbers, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, you can see a lot if you really look, but if you're
Yeah.
just looking just to see how much money, money is what you make when you do the right things or when you do something. That's just an end product. That doesn't tell you how you got there. It doesn't tell you if you're going to be able to stay there and sustain it.
Right.
What you're looking at in the numbers is whether or not that can be sustained.
Mhm.
And a lot of times, a lot of companies, especially in some of the smaller family-run businesses, it's very difficult to get them to change that. But what it is the new generation, if they've gone and they've seen if they've worked other places other than their own business, they seem to have they're like, wait a minute, it worked better when they were doing it like this. Why don't we try it? And they have a little bit more influence. So it's always trying to find your person of influence that can help you
Mhm.
to get what needs to be done. So it's a very interesting balance. It's kind of a very delicate ballet.
Yeah. So let's kind of switch gears here a little bit.
Sure.
I want to explore a little bit about you. What is your current focus and what I heard last time we chatted, you're making some changes in your business.
Yes,
So
I am.
tell me about that. What's going on?
So the industries that I was very comfortable with are in tech and in medical, pharmaceutical and medical industries. That's where
Mhm.
I did a lot of my work. And so I see that that's still an issue, especially in smaller practices, less than 10 doctors or 5 doctors in the practice.
Okay.
They're very, very good at what they do.
Mhm.
Needless to say, we love them. We want them to focus on it, but they're not necessarily the greatest with all of the other back end because that's not what they were trained to do.
Sure. Yeah, that's really typical. I've talked with tons of medical people. They tend to be really good technicians and very smart in their whatever they do. But
Oh
from a
man,
business perspective, they want to do better, but they just don't have the interest or the aptitude for it.
they don't. And then, honestly, when we're in school, to be trained to own your own business is not something that we're given. We are shown how to work for somebody else.
Right. Yeah. It's
So
kind of like I took all the exams and tests to become a realtor, and you'd think, okay, they're going to teach me how to sell houses. There was nothing in there about how to sell. Nothing. It was like, this is all the compliance stuff you got to know.
It's
And
all the laws, it's all the things that you have to follow. And then, oh, and if you go and work for these firms, they can help you get get some experience behind it. It's never how to set it up and run it on your own. So
yeah,
there's a lot of licensing, reporting, and this and this and that is just incumbent with these businesses that I understand and know how to do. So I'm like, okay, I needed to kind of get back to what I know and help
yeah.
help
So
where I could be the
what's
most help.
what's your focus on with it sounds like you're working more with the medical industry and doctors and uh, people who have their own practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Professional.
Right.
So what is it that they would be interested in learning and doing with you?
Basically what we do is help them to go from if they real specialized, because doctors who want to not just have maybe one practice, but maybe have multiple practices.
Mm-hmm.
So we can help you streamline your practice so that you can duplicate the process when you're opening up
Okay.
other practices. Because once you have it, the first practice is like, oh, I got to do what? Where? How
Mm-hmm.
many times? No, it's very new, and trying to get it together. It might be making a lot of money, but sometimes you don't know where that's coming from, or you think it's doing really well, but then when you try to open the next office, it doesn't do as well, or it's even doing worse than what you were originally expecting. So
Mm-hmm.
we kind of help to get all of those processes together, make sure everything in the back office is running properly so that literally you can cookie cutter this from office 1 to office 2 to office 3 to office 4, and make sure that those things are doing good. Because if you can get those things streamlined, even if you're in the wrong area, like location per se, where you're not getting as much traffic, with the back offices, you can, with all of the other things in order, you can quickly change whether it's the services that you're offering, whether it's the people that you're targeting. You can find that out much quicker than if you don't have all of those things in sync. So we kind of help to make sure that they are focused. They know where their money's coming from. They know how they're being billed, what's outstanding from the insurance companies, if they're getting it right, how to we put things in place so that all of those things are working for them.
Okay. And you're automating all that. So you're
We're
helping out.
automating. Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
automate. I believe in
Oh,
automation
yeah.
strongly.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So you are, just looking at your bio here, you're a perpetual student,
Oh yeah.
always interested in learning new
Oh,
things.
if it's new, and if it's I have more toys, and I'm telling you, it's crazy.
So what does that mean? You have more toys. How many?
Oh,
Tell me about
if
your
it's a
latest toy.
if it's a beta test, I'm in it. No,
Okay,
because
cool.
I want to know what it is. I love that. Chat GPT is my new boyfriend. I'm hanging out with it at 2 o'clock. Um, every time I get a chance, I want to see what I can do with it. I want
Uh-huh.
to, I just went to a seminar, and I appreciate what they said. It said it's too new. There are no experts at it, but it's not, it's this
You haven't
form
talked to
is
Stephanie
new.
yet.
No, I'm not an expert. I want to
Okay.
be, but I'm not there yet.
All right.
But there are so many new, but it was very interesting. Artificial intelligence, of course, is not new. It's been around since the late mid 50s. So
Right.
this is just the newest iteration of AI and what we can see it do. And now it's to the masses. It's like everybody can get it. So now it's like we'll be able to see what other people can come up with. And then from that, that'll spur other ideas. So I love the concept of being able to do this. If I can make my life easier, I'm so for it. And if I can help make your life easier, even better. So I've gotten a twofer on that one. So I love learning new things. So I've been working on that. And then of course, I've always been a reader, so I've always wanted to make sure I understood what was going on. Of course, books are
Mhm.
going by the way of the dodo bird, but ebooks are still here.
Yeah. No, we were just talking about that. It's like the way that things are going, you won't have to pick up a real book at all. I don't really do that much anymore. I've got a few,
Hmm.
but it's kind of scary. It's like, what happens if somebody didn't want you to know that? They could just turn it off and you don't have
That
access
part,
to it.
I remember. I have my daughter is now 30s in her 30s,
Yeah.
and we
Wow.
used to
Scary,
take
huh? Yeah, I got one. I got
right?
one of those. I got a granddaughter now.
And it's very interesting because I
So
remember us
beautiful though.
taking us these road trips, and one of my favorite, I love sci-fi, so
Hmm.
I am a huge fan of Ray Bradbury and
Okay.
Isaac Asimov. But
Hmm.
one of my favorite books is, you know, Fahrenheit 353,
350, 341, or four,
341,
three, whatever it
351.
was, 251, whatever it is,
Yeah, that was one of my favorite books. And I
451.
451, that's what it is,
Yeah.
the temperature for books to burn.
Right. Yeah.
But it was like my daughter, when I first read the book, I was in junior high school.
Okay.
So when my daughter reads it, of course, it's a totally different time. And my mom and I remember her even then saying, "Mom, that's happening now." I said, and guess what? The book was written 50 years before I read it. And she was like, "Oh." So, things we're watching stuff happen that we still don't have the flying cars, but we almost have automated cars, autonomous cars. But, you know, the
Well, they
things
have
that,
they have flying cars though. They have prototypes. They're not that's one of my things. I love that stuff. So it's like I stay on top of that. But they're not commercial yet, but they're getting closer and closer.
yeah, they are. They are. They're really getting, I'm excited. I'm a little worried, but I'm excited at the same time.
Yeah.
But if it can fight traffic and I don't have to do it, hey, more power.
Well, it's
Um,
like it's like taking all those cars that are on the freeway and just moving them up into the sky. It's like, well, you're still going to be.
and they won't hit each other because they've got better, sighting than we do. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm totally for it. So, but yeah, those are the kinds of things that were interesting to me, and to see where we've come and what we can do. That's always, and I'm like, ooh, if I can be, I'm not on the bleeding edge of anything, but I am definitely, kind of close.
Mhm. Okay. Very cool. Yeah, I like that stuff too. I've always been that way. Like when I was a kid, I was like one of my favorite books was how things work,
Yeah.
and you go through that and just look and just understand. It's like I don't need to own it or need to. I just want to
I
understand
just
it.
want to know how to make it work.
Yeah. But I've done all kinds of crazy things. I snow ski. I've flown airplanes. I've
Cool.
rappelled down mountains. I've jumped out of airplanes with parachute and just, I've tried all those things. I'm not an expert at any of it, but it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. It keeps you, I, one of my things now is night sky photography and
Okay. Very
astro
cool.
landscape. So, I'm really, that is now become the more interesting things to me to do. But yeah,
Yeah.
you do. I don't want to sit still, and I don't want any, yeah, I want things that keep me focused and learning something. Why is this? Why is this? I want to know. So that's where we are. And
Awesome. I
that's
like
what
that about
helps
you.
me with businesses.
That's important. It adds so much to the flavor of life and enjoying what you're doing every day and
Yeah, it does.
sharing
It
those
does.
experiences with other people. It makes it more fun.
And it's great trivia. No.
Yeah, yeah. That's what my kids say. You're really good at like knowing a lot about stuff that I really don't care about.
Exactly. It's like nobody cares, but I have it in my head somewhere.
You should go on one of those TV shows.
Oh yeah, no. That would be the trivia night. Those are the trivia games because I couldn't answer anything about a TV show. I have no clue about a TV
Oh,
show.
I had to, when I was a kid, I used to watch TV a lot, and I and I got to a point where I had to just quit. Well, I was like addicted to TV. I am a TV all. My name's Jim. One of those. And finally, when I got into college, I had to go off cold turkey pretty much.
Ooh, yeah.
And
Mhm.
so I did. But it sticks with you. It's amazing what your brain retains. I remember going on a snow ski trip on a bus with a whole bunch of people I didn't know because I'm addicted to snow skiing. And on the way up there, they had a game. They played like 21 theme songs from old TV shows,
Mm.
like Leave It to Beaver and all the old 60s, 50s and 60s shows. And I was the only one on the bus that got all of them right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's like, dude, you used to watch way too much TV. So,
Exactly.
and the reward for getting first place was I got free tickets to go watch a taping of a TV show up in Hollywood called Cheers.
Oh, yeah.
It was fun. Yeah, it was really a blast, that experience.
Oh,
So
fun. That's kind of neat.
it all kind of leads to something, watching all that TV was worth it because I got to go watch a free TV show being filmed.
There you go. You,
Yeah.
you get some things. I used to do, I know, real random things. I used to, when I was younger, I would do the seat fillers for like the big awards, which
Oh
was kind
yeah.
of
Okay.
fun.
Right.
Just some of the strange things. It's like, oh, that's fun. I've never done that. Let's try
Yeah.
that one.
I love that. Yeah. Just go try this. Just step out into the unknown and be adventurous.
Yes. So we go from seat filler to Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah. That's
So
great.
yeah, it's just something to keep you busy and keep you motivated. But if
That
you
comes
can't,
back into what you do too. I mean, all that pulls it, those experiences pull into, who you are, the approach you have, and your attitude towards helping companies get better.
it
Right.
does, because you got to be able to shift and move from one to the other. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they don't seem to all mix and match, or it's not that straight line that you planned. But it does have
It
yeah, it never is.
never
But
is.
it has some there's something there because it's a part of you, so that you can make that decision and you're like, oh, that's how I fit together. Now I can move it over and use it over here. And
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much all we do. We because we just mimic what we see anyway. So you see this is like, oh, that worked like that. Well, how would it work over here? And then you can try and it's like, oh, voila, I can do this too. So it's just a matter of taking those things and being able, sometimes you need that third party that can look from the outside in and say, well, how come you just don't do this to this? Because that would be a lot easier than going through all of this down here.
Yeah. Oh, and it's being ready to listen
Yes, that's always important. That's very important.
and be coachable, you know, bring
Mhm.
somebody in. It's really amazing to me how, people, it's like they hire people and then they don't listen to them. It's like,
Waste of money. I know that's a
wow.
waste of money.
Yeah. It feels good. I have you here, but I'm not listening to you.
Right. And sometimes that's all they want, is just want to feel good. Well, see, I already was doing this and I was already doing that. I said, but you weren't putting this with this, so it's not going anywhere. So why do you want
Exactly.
to do that? Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what we do. We are there to help businesses move forward. Our tagline for CS Financial Services is, we're in business to simplify your business.
Okay.
And if you don't grow, we don't go, because we can't go anywhere. We all work together. We're team members with our clients. We support our clients. So
Mhm.
we know a lot about your business. We have to, if we're going to help you make it grow.
Mhm.
And we learn with you because we're implementing these things to help you grow. So we want to see you. We have a vested interest in watching you move forward.
Beautiful. Excellent. So last question. Got time
Okay.
for one more?
Of course.
So I asked this of everybody on the show. Uh, it's basically this: with taking a look at your whole life, your whole history. And I've had sometimes people, when they start, when they get started at like 9, they start their first business. So it's been fun listening to some of those stories.
Wow, yeah.
But taking a look at your whole life, what's the boldest leadership decision that you've made, and what were the consequences?
Ah, leaving the crappy CPA job that I was working for.
Okay. All right. Do tell, do tell.
I I I I was always I was actually on track for CPA and working for that. And I literally have sat for the exam on 4 different occasions. I've passed 3 tests every time I've done it. I won't, I, it's not, there's a mental block that keeps me from passing the 4th test
Okay.
because I do not want to be known as a CPA. For whatever reason, my brain says, oh my God, you're stuck. You can never get out of this. So
Okay. There's some wisdom there.
So I literally finally stopped, wasting money trying to sit for the
Okay.
exams. And I actually am more, I like actually working in tax better. So
Okay.
I actually sat for the enrolled agent exam, passed it first time, and
Mhm.
moved on with my life. I was like, oh, I like this better.
Okay. Yeah. Something I could do.
But it was one of those things. I'm very good at accounting. I've always done it. I trained to do it. It's just that wasn't where my passion was.
Mhm.
So trying to work for the CPA firm and then realizing that I know this is kind of cliche because all careers pretty much are male dominated careers because women stayed at home for many years before they went into the workforce.
Sure.
But accounting is uh, a very male dominated, and they have a very interesting hierarchy where, I always termed it the boys club because, it's a bunch of the nerds and the geeks who used to get picked on when they were in school because they were smart. And now that they actually know that they're smart and they created their own club and they're doing the same thing to everybody else.
Right.
So it's kind of like
Yeah.
that, even when in the structure inside the firms. There's no way I would have ever made, you
That's
know,
not your personality.
it's really
You
not
actually
my
have a
personality.
personality. And I can say that honestly because my grandfather was a CPA. He was partner in a firm on Wall Street
Uh-huh.
before, and God, he was a nerd. He, you know, and but you don't have that personality. You've got one, so it's really
Oh,
cool.
but I'm a nerd. I can nerd out
Yeah,
about
well, yeah,
a lot of stuff.
that's cool because you have this desire, this interest, this passion to kind of learn new things and you share it, and you're smiley and you're fun, so that brings so much more to the game of
Mhm.
business to me, you know.
Knowledge should be shared. I'm a keen believer. Knowledge should be shared. Services are what you pay for.
Exactly, yeah. And
So
I can hire somebody to come in and do, but you can't. It's difficult to find somebody who's really good at what they do, but that you enjoy working with too.
it's true. It's hard to find that. So I want to be,
And it brings new ideas.
yeah, you want somebody who is I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I don't want to be the dumbest person in the room. I want to at least be able to have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
And the only way you can do that is if you have knowledge. You don't have to know everything about it, but you should at least be able to say, so how does this work? And understand when they're talking to you about
Exactly.
what they're saying. Because
Yeah.
if you can't have that, that's really not good. People, I have people tell me all the time, oh, I could never do what you do. I'm like, of course you do. You do it all the time. I just get paid to do it. I just get paid to do this. So I chose to use this as a career move.
Hey, getting paid for what you love to do. That's
There you
that's
go.
really,
Because you got to do it no matter what, one way or the other. Even if you're not that great at it, you have to do it. So,
yeah. So that
it's,
decision to leave the CPA firm and leave
oh,
the
that was the best decision I
best
ever
decision
made.
you ever made
Oh,
for you.
oh, I used to come home crying because I just didn't want to go back there. They were
Yeah.
horrible people. They were, it was just, it was all of the things that you see, the with because you're a woman, they don't want to pay you, you're quote unquote not as smart as them. I'm very bad. I'm very mouthy sometimes. So I'm like, wait a minute, aren't you the same
You
idiot that was
what?
sitting behind me in class cheating off my paper and now all of a sudden you're smarter than me? I don't think so. Um,
Right. Right? Yeah.
when did you get to be so
Come
smart?
on. Yeah.
So I was not into that. I was not that mindset. And fortunately,
But isn't it nice you can go start your own company and
with,
you can just say, well, I'm the president and I'm the CEO and I'm making the rules.
it was hard. That was actually still hard because I needed sign off on it from my spouse at the time and so I needed to make sure because I'm like, that's a major decision. Even though
Uh-huh.
I didn't like my job, I made a lot of money. So
Right. Yeah,
you
but you
don't
weren't
want to just
happy, right?
you
So
don't want to leave it,
what?
because it's like
Well,
I still got bills to pay. But
yeah.
they were like 100% behind me and they said, this is ridiculous. You're smarter than this. You can figure this out. Can you do this on your own? I'm like, well, yeah. He's like, well, figure out how much money it is, put the budget together, and let's see if we can do it. And therefore, I was able, and I was given the space to do this. And I'm very, very grateful for that.
How long ago was that?
That was in late 1997.
Okay.
Right before I started the practice. And I was coming home crying every day from work because I didn't want to go back there. They
And
were so horrible. I didn't want to
you made
go
that
back.
transition. Have you ever been back employed again or did you?
I did work. I still did. Because I never wanted to be completely out of the uh, large business firm because things change that you can see there that may not translate and trickle down as fast. So
Mhm.
what I did for the first like 6, 7 years is I ran my practice, but I would make sure that in off season after taxes were done, I would do like 4 or 5. I would do like a what do you call it, temp assignment, and I would take temp assignments for
Ah,
like a
okay.
couple of months at
That's cool.
various different companies that I was comfortable that and stuff that I knew so that I could keep up with what was going on.
It seems like a
And that
nice thing about that that profession that this profession that you're in. It's like I'm thinking it's kind of like being my daughter's a nurse,
uh
and it's amazing. I mean, she can come and go, move wherever she wants, always find a job.
yep.
And that's not what I did. What I did is like you either had a job with a company and you were there for a long time, or there was really no temp to perm kind of things going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, that I was very fortunate with that because I have a specialty because of the specialty that I work in. I do migration, system migrations.
Right.
So there's not a lot of people that had an accounting background and who could actually understand the tech portion. And so I was grateful that I had that. So a
Okay.
lot of times I would actually get called into jobs for specifically being able to work in systems that nobody else could work in and that could help that we could have I could talk to the tech IT department and actually tell them exactly what we were looking for because there would always be that miscommunication. So I was like kind of the 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 Switzerland for the accounting and
Right.
IT
Yeah. Okay. That's a good
department.
place to be.
I
Really
was
good
at
place to
neutral
be.
territory.
Yeah. It's like
So that kept me busy when I wasn't if I wasn't busy in the practice after tax season or if I didn't have a lot of clients during going, but it also helped me keep up with the latest in the industry and
mhm.
what people were doing, what businesses were doing so that I could move that information, simplify it and give it to smaller businesses so that they could keep going.
Awesome. What do you see as now? This is really the last question. What do you see as the most important thing for small and medium businesses to be focused on today from your perspective?
You need to understand your books. You need to understand what those numbers are. If you don't know what's going on, you don't understand your profit and loss, it's just words. It's just numbers on a sheet of paper. That's not helpful. It's sad because there's a lot of businesses, because they think they have money in the bank, they think they've got something, and they really don't, because they don't understand how that balance is going to be affected by the stuff that they're purchasing, or the stuff that they may have already committed to, and they see the fluctuation and they're panic stricken, or just making sure that they are getting their customers to pay them on time. Those are the simple things. It's simple things. So it's like just understanding you don't always get a business background when you open a business. You open a business because it's something you love or because you're very knowledgeable with it, but it is detrimental to you if you don't understand how these things function or what is involved, because you'll never get beyond, and you can actually collapse your own business because you don't have the right concept. So getting training, understanding what to look for, and then making sure you have somebody to work with you that knows what they're doing. Everybody can say they're a bookkeeper, but not everybody knows what they're doing. And not all bookkeepers understand all different levels. Make sure you do some research, find out what they should know, and then ask them some questions.
Yeah.
Find out if they really know what they're doing, so that you're not coming back and, your bookkeeper did this and you don't even know why it's there, or something's not filed right. Or some people don't, some bookkeepers don't know which filings that need to be done. They may or may not do sales tax, and that's a big one if you've got a brick and mortar and retail. That's important. And work with them. Yes, it's going to cost you money, but it's a business expense. It's good for you. It's a business expense that means that you can write it off. So just get in there and
don't do it, then you'll get a knock on the door from somebody at some point.
A knock, a letter, a lot of nasty letters, and then finally shut down. Yeah, it's not good.
That stuff doesn't go away.
Somebody. Yeah, and talk to people. Talk to other business owners that you see that are doing good. That's important. What are they doing? What are they doing that you like, and that they'll tell you. Everybody wants to share. When you're doing something good and it's working, they want to share. Ask them. Don't be afraid to ask the crazy questions. There is no stupid question. There's only dumb answers. But if you don't know, then say you don't know, and let somebody help you, because that could actually tank your business if you don't know, and it's something you need to be doing. And a phone call, like I said, knowledge is free. Services are what you get charged for. So you can always call.
What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Best way to get in touch with me is via email. I am busy. I don't do a lot of phone calls except for in the morning, and I leave that specifically for my clients, so that if they have questions that need more than 10 seconds.
That's really smart. So you're using your time efficiently. It's like, I called you and you left the message. It's like, I'm not going to answer my phone right now. If you want to get an answer on something, leave your voicemail and I'll get back to you. I pick up my messages at noon and whatever. So good for you. That's really smart.
Yeah, I had to do that because it's a lot of breaks in the day, and then I don't get anything accomplished, and I really need to get stuff done for my clients and for my own practice. So I want to make sure I am efficiently using my time. And that way, if it's an email, which I'm starting to learn, if you send me an email, if this is something that I get on a regular basis, now I have a repository of that information. I can create an FAQ, and then I can put it on my website. And then people who are asking this question, or who may have wanted to get this answer and didn't know who to ask, now it's there available to them to see all the time. And the answer won't change. So, it can be, you can look at it as many times as you want to.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you, Stephanie, for spending time with me on the show today.
Thank you. I'm very glad you asked me, and I'm glad I could be a part of this.
Yeah, it was fun. So we'll have to do it again when you get maybe in a bit we'll get another update.
There you go.
Awesome. So hang on,
Wonderful.
don't leave yet. Hang on.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll sign it off on the show.